So let's talk a little bit about imagination and creativity. So, as we've discussed, the source of creation, which is the absolute truth of consciousness, is alone real. And it is the source of all thoughts and forms that emanate in the mind, which we refer to as imagination, basically. All the forms, the images that we experience in our inner space, we refer to as imagination. And the process of creativity is basically the process of actualizing imagination. So, all the various designs of objects that we experience every day, all the cars and bikes and buildings and pens and various decorative items, vases, statues, trinkets, clothes, decorative items. So, all these objects that we experience every day were first conceived in the imagination and then via a process of actualization, that imagination is turned into an actual object, actual material object which we can see and touch. And the practical requirements of the situation constrain the form that the object that we are creating takes. A car is designed in order to optimize various parameters to best fit the components to provide ample space for the passengers, etc. So, practicality and imagination in combination lead to the forms that we create, because there is a purpose. Unless you're creating art, there is a purpose for creating forms, like making cars and bikes, for example, and that purpose constrains the form that the object takes. So imagination is originally boundless, but the laws of nature constrain the creativity that is expressible and relevant and useful. But the source of the creativity is the imagination. Source of all the designs and forms that we come up with is the imagination. So we can explore the imagination just for the sake of exploring the imagination, as opposed to any practical requirement. And such exploration reveals without a shadow of a doubt that the very infinite, the space of all possibility, all form, is accessible to us through our minds. And meditation is one of the ways in which to get in touch with our own imagination. So, with eyes closed, there are realms of visual perception that are beyond the external. So, these realms can be experienced with closed eyes, and the transcendent beauty of the forms that one experiences in deep meditation is enough to blow the minds of absolutely the entirety of humanity. There are objects contained in the imagination which can drive the world mad within an instant of seeing that object. If such objects were revealed to large numbers of people, it would fundamentally alter our ideas of reality and existence. The sheer beauty of these objects causes the destruction of doubt in the existence of the divine, basically. And infinitely many forms are contained in the imagination. So we can prove this mathematically, actually. So consider the set of all triangles in the plane into two-dimensional flat space, basically, which we refer to as the plane. Consider the set of all triangles in this plane. So it can be proven mathematically that the set of all triangles in the plane is uncountably infinite. So as we discussed in the previous video, there are various levels of infinity, and the size of the infinity of all triangles in the plane is uncountably infinite. There are endless possible forms that you can create just by considering the set of all triangles in the plane. Consider the set of all lines in the plane. Again, we can prove this to be uncountably infinite. You can look at three-dimensional space as well. Consider various mathematical objects such as tori, spheres, surfaces of genus n for any given natural number n, which is basically a surface with n holes in it. Polyhedra, tetrahedra. Polyhedra are a more general class of objects, but tetrahedra, cubes, manifolds of compact manifolds of dimension 2. So all these various objects can be proven to constitute classes that are uncountably infinite. And all these objects are sources of potential works of art. So the imagination is boundless. There is no end to how much creativity we can exhibit. So all the sculpture, the architecture, the digital abstract art, the paintings, the music, the cinema, television, all of it is centrally based in the imagination. And human creativity is boundless, and we've only explored a small portion of our creative capabilities thus far in human history. So the possibilities for further art in the future are very rich. And the imagination is another dimension basically. It has the power to deliver us to the infinite. The only thing required is to consciously access our imagination through meditation and express it as art and creativity, basically. As Einstein said, the true test of intelligence is not knowledge but imagination. That is one aspect of imagination. The other aspect of imagination is that imagination can actually make you hallucinatory. That is the flip side of imagination. So we have to be in touch with awareness to ride our imagination, to trip through our imagination, basically, so that the imagination doesn't carry us away. Because the very concept of Maya, which is the creative power, the creative, illusory, hypnotic power of the divine, is basically the imagination of the divine. So, since the one reality or the absolute truth is all that there is, all imagination emanates from that absolute truth. So, everything that human beings have created and imagined thus far is actually the creativity of the absolute. It is the absolute that's creating all forms through the human beings that it appears as. And it is the experiencer of these forms. It is perceiving the end result of the forms that it is creating. That is the process of art appreciation, basically. The universe appreciating what the universe has created. So that's a little bit about imagination.